Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to talk about Wrath of Tezca. So this is another Wax blockchain game and it looks pretty promising. So we're going to look into the trailer first before we get into the game. So to give you a little bit of background, so this is a hex based turn-based game. So here you'll see the hero selection part, so it's in 3D and you'll be able to select the gears that your heroes or soldiers they'll be using in the game, and they have different skill sets, and in here would be the terrain on where they will actually do their combat. So in this combat, it's, as I mentioned, it's hex based, so you'll be controlling your units manually and you'll be able to do certain commands on what they need to do. So if you're a fan of Final Fantasy Tactics or Xcom, you know, any type of games similar to those, this would be something that you might be interested in getting into. Yeah, I have to let you know that they're not going to implement this currently in the initial launch of the game, which is somewhere this November. So the 3D turn-based combat will be available somewhere in Q2 2022. So just manage your expectations at the moment. Now, in terms of chests you're seeing here, so these were already sold out in September. I wasn't aware of the game yet at that time, so completely missed it. So right now the prices in Atomic Hub, you kind of expect like you know, the prices are pretty up there, but I think it's still affordable to a certain number of people, so you might look into it later. So now let's get into the roadmap. This game has been in development for over 4 years already, so right now that they're just really rolling out in terms of getting the game out for people to play. Now in terms of executions in the roadmap, so stage 0 they've already done this, so as I mentioned earlier they already did this in September. So in stage 1 for Q4 2021, this is going to be implemented most likely this November if they don't have any more delays. If not, worst case is probably December. We'll see. So in here they will be releasing the initial part of the game, so people will be able to log into the game, gear up their units, and go into combat missions. Now they mentioned clearly here that it's going to be instant combat missions, so you're not going to have the turn-based game, which is alright with me. I mean, at least I don't have to spend too much time trying to get into the game at the moment, but definitely it's one of the draws for me. That's why I like the game, is because of the turn-based combat, because I'm a very big fan of tactics games when I was younger. So this is something right up in my alley, so I'm really gonna look forward for the actual open beta release for that part of the game. So right now we can make do with what they have currently. So whenever you do combat missions, you'll get rewarded with Tezca, which is their in-game currency, and other treasure, meaning treasure tokens. So they have actually 3 other treasure tokens that you can acquire from the game, so later on we'll get into that. The rewards will be exponentially scaled based on the relative power of your equipped soldiers, so it just basically means that whatever gears your soldier is equipped on, depending on the rarity, it will impact the rewards that you will get for your mission. So the higher the rarity, the better your rewards. Players will be able to break down any equipment NFTs they own into a random amount of treasure. So this just basically means you can dismantle your weapons, your gears, and you will get raw materials, which are the treasure tokens. And from there you can use those treasure tokens to actually craft new equipment, but they have a minimum requirement before you can do that. So later on it's also part of the white paper. We can also look into that. Now in stage 2 in next year, Q1 2022, so this is where they will introduce the blessing tree. So the blessing tree is, and to make it simple, it's more of like increased token earnings, for example. So it's pretty much like shrines in Diablo, so it'll give you some certain bonuses that you'll be able to use for your missions. I just don't know if it's going to be permanent. I don't think so. So you need to pay using Tezca to get these blessings so you can use them in the game. Then there will be new actions that could be introduced along with the associated NFTs, such as non-combat units. This is not exactly clear to me. 3D turn-based combat, so there will be closed beta in Q1, so I'm going to look forward to that if I can get into it. Then stage 3, so Q2 2022, this is where the open beta for the 3D turn-based game that will happen. And this is where you'll be able to control your soldiers into fully fledged turn-based combat, earn greater rewards by winning tougher procedurally generated battles. So in here I think they're putting a bit of an incentive. If you use the 3D turn-based combat, you may consume a bit more time, but you're gonna get greater rewards by doing that. They just need to make sure that the rewards you will get in this format would be way better versus the instant combat missions. Stage 4, they will actually have land sale, so this is a bit interesting. So players will be able to select which land plot they want to send their soldiers off to battle. Landowners will be able to upgrade their lands to entice more players into battle. Landowners will receive Tezca and other rewards for each battle that takes place in their land. So I guess, you know, being a landowner would be very, very lucrative. So we'll see how much they're gonna plan to price their lands. I mean, pretty much right now in almost every other game that you try to join in, if they have any land sale, they're really expensive. You know, a good example would be Illuvium. I would assume that would be very expensive, and because I read that they're planning to do a Dutch type auction, then definitely it's not something I'm gonna be able to get into. Similar to Mirandus. Mirandus is super expensive. If you've seen it, it's like $70,000 or something like that, or even more. Just to buy certain lands in that game. Hopefully in this game, I mean, it's not a big game, so I'm expecting that the prices for the lands would be not extreme, but we'll see. I mean, Atomic Hub tend to have prices go all over the place. I'm crossing my fingers on this one. So they also mentioned here it's subject to change, so we'll see. I hope that they stick to the roadmap. If they can execute it earlier, better. So this is being managed by the company called Four Winds Entertainment. I think there's only like 6 or 7 people in the team. And yeah, we can look into the team right now. So this is being led by Sam. He's the founder and lead gameplay programmer, lead designer of this game. And they have 6 members here. I know they mentioned like 7. So at least the team here is fully doxed, and I know that in Atomic Hub they have a very, very stringent KYC. So they, you know, pretty much most of the games that are being introduced into Wax, I would say would be legit to a certain extent. So the only concern you would have in terms of these games is that are they popular enough that people would actually play the game? So that would be the detrimental factor, the most important factor that you need to consider in this game. So at least you're not going to be worried that you're going to get rugged, right? So the only thing that you need to be careful of is buying your equipments in Atomic Hub at overpriced amounts, right? So that's the only thing you need to be careful of. So it's better to always try to get into a game that are still doing pre-sale, for example. If you can get them at the base price, get into a whitelist, and I think that's the best way to purchase your equipments for any game for that matter. Alright, so let's look into the white paper. So we've already gone through a bit of the mechanics of the game, so pretty much what you're expecting is an instant combat mission. So whenever you're going to play the game, you will be able to select 4 soldiers for every mission that you're going to do, and you can equip them as you've seen in the trailer, and you can send them to battle. So in here we can go through the pack details a bit. So there are 3 different packs here. This is the common, epic, and I guess this is the legendary pack. So later we'll go through the Atomic Hub to see how much they're going for right now, and what are the units, or how many units it contains. So soldiers, at least 1 soldier NFT is required to participate in missions. So there's no maximum limit of number of soldiers per account. So when they mention like there's no maximum limit of number of soldiers per account, it just means that, you know, you can own a lot, but you can't use them all in one mission. So most likely you might do several different missions for a different set of groups. So that's my assumption. In terms of equipments, you will have helmet, shoulders, gloves, armor, boots, and weapon. So you're gonna go through a bit in terms of shopping in Atomic Hub. So that's why I was thinking like it's better to just buy the packs, because everything is already included in the packs. Promotional items, there are various NFTs in our collections that are artwork, so I guess this is not something we can use. Land, so there are currently no lands, but as I mentioned earlier, they have different types of terrains that are going to be available. So they will have hills, forests, plains, savanna, and clearing. So we'll see what happens once they implement the land in the game. So attributes, so I think this is pretty common, what you will have in most characters in the game. So we're not going to go through these in detail anymore. Let's go through treasures. So this is what I've been mentioning earlier. So there will be 4 different tokens in the game. So these are all tradable tokens. So the primary token would be the Tezca. As I mentioned, this is their main in-game currency. So they have a maximum supply of 1 billion. So at launch there will be none in circulation, and same applies for all of the tokens. So this is going to be fair launch. So the first people that are going to be able to get these tokens are the people who actually who first do the missions in the game. So that's the first time that anyone will be able to acquire these in-game tokens. So Tezca will be used for crafting, blessings, mission reselection, so you can actually reselect your mission if in case you don't like the existing option that the game provides you, since this is randomized. Squad reselection, you can also do that, but it's gonna cost you. You can also rename soldiers, but this is a feature addition to the game. So hardwood, bone shards, and magic essences. So these are the other 3 tokens that you would actually need to use in terms of crafting. I'm not sure if there are any other uses for these ones, but for now I know they're going to be used for crafting. So these are the limit of tokens that's available in the game. Again, same applies to what Tezca is. Everything is fair launched, meaning that most of it you'll be able to get when you do the mission. So redistribution, whenever treasure is spent in game by a player, be that for refreshing missions or whatever, so 10% is burnt, 85% is added back to the reward supply for redistribution, so meaning that, you know, it'll go to your quest rewards, for example. So 3% is added to a community pot to be used for giveaways, rewarding bug reports, and so on. That's great. 2% is taken as a developer fee, so they're reiterating that 85%, which is quite a lot. That will go back to the players, which is great. Instant mission selection and NFT charges. So once a player has acquired a soldier, they can select which items to equip. So I guess this is just rehashing what we mentioned earlier. So instant missions are always successful, so there are no failed missions. That's great. But I don't know how that's gonna work in terms of economy for the game, if they're gonna make everything successful. But then again, you know, they mentioned earlier that, you know, the earnings are still based on the rarity of the weapons that you have. And here they also mentioned that each mission will have randomized combination of bonuses and penalties to certain attributes. So let's say if you have a unit that is maybe a physical attribute unit, so you may get unlucky, like you can get a penalty of -20%, for example. So that can happen. So that's why there's incentive for you to do reroll, but that's going to cost you Tezca coin. Now, if a player wants to generate a new mission, you can refresh them for a small amount, but doubling the Tezca coin fee. So for example, the Tezca coin fee is 2, and you felt like, no, I don't like this mission, I want to reroll. Then the next reroll that you want to do, if in case you don't like the new reroll, it's going to double that amount. So it's going to be 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on and so forth. So it's going to cost quite a lot if you keep refreshing. So they made an explanation here, like this should actually prevent some abuse here. So the Tezca coin fees are not intended to generate revenue for the project, but as a way to protect themselves from malicious players spending all their wax resources on generating new mission selections. You have to remember that in wax blockchain, you actually need to stake your wax to use CPU and RAM, and you can use that, consume that on a day, and it refreshes every single day. But the thing is, there's a limitation to it, right? So since this is a big game, I would assume that the developers are staking quite a lot of wax tokens here. So they don't want that to be spent just because players are just, you know, abusing the refresh option for the game. So once a player finally selects a mission, the rewards are calculated on a soldier by soldier basis. So meaning that if you have 4 soldiers, for example, so each soldier will produce a certain level of rewards. So it's not going to be accumulated, it's always going to be per soldier basis. So they also mentioned that you will have a maximum of 2 charges per NFT, meaning per soldier. So you can do 2 missions immediately, and they will recover on a certain time frame. But they didn't mention how long it will take you to recover the 2 charges. So we'll see, we'll maybe find out later on. So there is also a way to reduce the cooldown, which is through blessings, so that's good. But they don't have any specifications for that one. So instant mission rewards, so these are just the calculations on how much rewards you will be able to get. So I'm not going to go through that, but you know, they did show a quick chart here that if you have a full legendary, then definitely you're getting a way high amount of rewards. So later we'll look into how much legendary sets are costing right now. So here also is also a calculation on how much rewards that you're gonna get. So we're not gonna get into that detail. You can look into the white paper if you want to look into that later. So here crafting, as I mentioned, so the basic or the main requirement for crafting is 500 hardwood, 300 bone shards, 200 magic essence, and a small Tezca coin fee. So this is where you can use to craft your equipments, gears, weapons, or whatnot, and it will also be based on a certain calculation pool on what type of rarity you'll be able to get. So here you'll get maybe a 55% chance common, 30% rare, 10% epic, or 5% legendary, but that would depend on the available NFT pool that they have on that particular day, or maybe for the particular week that you can craft. So here, dismantling, you'll be able to burn your equipment. On average, you'll know how much you're gonna get when you try to burn certain rarity of equipment. Definitely legendary would yield the most amount of treasure tokens, but of course, I mean, why would you burn a legendary? Now for blessings, these are the existing blessings that they're looking into. So cheaper crafting, bonus yields for missions, reduced recharge time between missions, and they're gonna add more in the near future. So 3D turn-based combat, I think we've covered most of these, because if you're familiar with, you know, Final Fantasy Tactics and the XCOM, pretty much everything that they mentioned here is, you know, reflective of what that type of game is. But right now we're not gonna get into it at the moment. Probably I'll do another video just to go through the 3D combat once they actually have at least the closed beta one. If I'm able to participate, then I could probably talk about it even more. So that's it for the white paper. Let's go into Atomic Hub. So let's see how much are the prices of the packs that are available currently in the market. So here we're at the packs. So the lowest one, which is the common one. So if you remember earlier, the common chest was only priced at $15, and right now the cheapest one is at $149.70. So that's a pretty big 10x for that particular price. So in here you'll be able to get 1 soldier and 8 equipment NFTs. So 1 soldier will only need like 6 equipment, so you'll get a bonus 2 random ones. And the rarity odds are common 65%, rare 30%, epic 4%, legendary 1%. So it's not that great. You're only gonna get 1. So of course you want to get a bit more than that, because the game would allow you to have a maximum of 4 per mission. So the cheapest epic right now is $288, and this will give you 2 soldiers and 16 equipment, so just double of what you have purchased, but it has a better odds of in terms of rarity. So here common is 55%, rare is 30%, epic is 11%, and legendary is 4%. We're gonna look into the most expensive one, so I'm not gonna be able to see it here, so we can just swap it to the highest to the lowest. Then we'll see the mythic ones. So the mythic ones, the lowest are being sold at is 813 bucks. So that's really high, but the main change here is because you're gonna get 4 soldiers. The reason why it's priced a bit higher than that is because of the odds. You're gonna get common of 40%, rare of 30%, epic 70%, and legendary at 13%, which is a big deal, because that means there's a higher chance for you to get a legendary here. So tendency for me is I would just go for like let's say go for armor. I'm just gonna look for, you know, what are the cheapest legendaries that I could purchase, for example. So let's look at the lowest price for a legendary, 185, and that's only for 1 piece of an equipment. So this is the cheapest one, and big spike back to $230 for the next one. So if you're gonna buy a full set, like you need 6 pieces of gear, so you're paying at around 200 bucks for each one. So 200 times 6, it's like $1,200, give or take, plus the NFT. You need the NFT, which is the soldier, and the soldier, there's also rarities for soldiers. So how much are they being priced at? Let's see. For legendaries, oh, there's even a mythical, 391. Not actually bad for a legendary one. I was actually thinking this is going to be over 1,000, so it's cheaper than what I was expecting. What's the retail price for it? 487. So it's being priced cheaper than what's being suggested by Atomic Hub. If I had the budget, I would practically just buy one. It's not bad in terms of price. Alright, so you know the prices, guys, so you can just visit Atomic Hub and try to see what you want to buy for your soldiers in the game, for your NFTs. Alright, so I think that pretty much ends my video here. So with that, guys, thank you for watching the video, and hope to see you again in my future videos, and take care.